Hello and welcome to History Bubble. Today's episode will be on Algeria. From Ottoman rule to the Civil War and its aftermath, I will cover it all here on History Bubble. By the 1830s, the Ottoman Empire had ruled what's now Algeria for 3 centuries. It had all started when the Barbarossa brothers captured the modern-day capital of Algeria, Algiers. They were not strong enough on themselves, so they asked the Ottoman for protection, which they got, but only if the territory would be integrated to the Ottoman Empire. Algeria often became a base of operation for Ottoman Western wars with Spain, Morocco and others, since it was the most westernmost place of the Ottoman Empire. Algeria was mostly autonomous during the Ottoman times, but they stayed in the empire for protection with the price of taxes. During these times, piracy ran rampant in this region. This stopped trade for many countries with a lot of their trade power in the Mediterranean. This led to the Barbary Wars, which was action against Algeria and other North African Ottoman territories and countries by Sweden, Sicily and the US. Tensions between Ottoman Algeria and France grew at this time, as the ruler of Algeria struck a French diplomat with a fan, which soon escalated to a French blockade and Algeria firing their cannons at French ships at their shores, which soon led to all-out war. And soon the French sent out an invasion force to capture the territory. The French invaded quickly, and Algeria could only manage to raise a force of 10,000 soldiers against the French who had over 50,000 men. They did not have any time to wait for reinforcements from the Ottomans either, and they did not care much that anyway. Soon siege weapons landed in Algiers, and the city was captured, making Algeria a French colony. The French didn't even control a majority of the area that had previously been Ottoman Algeria, but because the country was so divided, the Ottomans lost power. And in the beginning, they only controlled a few cities, while the rest of the country was ruled by local tribes. The Ulayy monarchy had taken power in France, which halted colonization in North Africa and Algeria, but only for a few years. But as the French situation improved, they soon started to take control over more of the Algerian coast, and soon the real thing was starting, and Frenchmen came to work the land, start factories and businesses in the country. Many Algerian citizens formed. The leader of the city, Constantine for example, would not hand over his territory and even resisted the first French attack, but soon a larger army came and occupied the territory that he owned. Other resistances formed, and one of them, led by Abd al-Qahir, declared a jihad against the French. They went even further by forming a government and a state, and soon controlled around half of Algeria. After the French had suffered several small defeats to the Algerian rebels, a treaty was signed, splitting Algeria between France and the Algerian rebels. But this was only a temporary solution. When the French had their power to strike, they did invoke the treaty, and war came again. At first the war was mostly a stalemate, even though Abd was severely outnumbered. He used guerrilla tactics to strike France at their weakest spots. But this all ended when France called in a third of his army to strike, and Abd's government fell apart, giving France full control of the territory. Algeria's population had also drastically sunk at this time, by around 50% less than what it had been during the Ottoman times. France had also continued colonization into Algerian Sahara and neighboring Tunisia and later Morocco, and Algeria became part of French North Africa. Colonial soldiers from Algeria fought for France in both of the world wars. But nationalistic movements started growing, and one time a demonstration started a chain reaction, leading to many dead. Estimates vary from around 6,000 all the way to just below 50,000. Things soon escalated, and the FLN political party, strongly against French rule, set off around 30 bombs, killing 5 people. And so the Algerian War for Independence had begun. At first, violence and terrorism wasn't a plan for liberation, but later, when it was proposed, it soon came to action and was the main part for liberating. The French Christians living in the countryside soon grew weary and moved into larger cities in fear of the FLN. The FLN had a rule to only attack government and military location, but one commander sought more drastic action for victory and massacred around 100 people near the city of Constantine. This was a wake-up call for the French, who started to kill many of the people responsible for these attacks. Soon the FLN used hit-and-run, guerrilla and terrorism tactics to the war. The FLN soon started to take these attacks to larger cities, such as Algeria. The French landed with 400,000 troops, plus around some 100,000 local Algerian forces who had volunteered to fight with them. But inner turmoil in France led to some troops having to return to their homeland. The new French president Charles de Gaulle came to Algeria to try to win over the local support by giving them the right to electoral polls, among other things. But growing political power in the French Communist Party now supported the Algerian rebels. The war was now too much for France, and 2 referendums were held, one in both France and Algeria, and one in only France, for Algerian independence. The result was clear in both places. They wanted Algerian independence and an end to the war. So, in 1962, Algeria was declared an independent nation by Gaulle. The war was over, and record not certain, but somewhere between 500,000 and 1 million had died. The war had almost ruined the Algerian economy, and around 50% of the possible workforce was unemployed. So that's all for today's episode. See you on the next one. We'll be looking at independent Algeria.